or fifth, fourth. Charles Norton, who's done the previous ones, did Power and Shada and Makra, he invited me to be an animator on Power of the Dogs, and then invited me to be animation director on Shada, and then I directed a short on Makra called Wheel in Space, and then I was invited to direct and produce this, which is a great opportunity.
It was, and how long did the process take altogether?
Just under a year for the Faceless ones.
Yeah, it's quite a long story, isn't it?
Yes.
And there was obviously some surviving footage. Did you use that as a blueprint, or did you avoid it?
Neither. We used it heavily as reference, but we actually, so there's episode 1 and 3 are originals, which have survived. It was really good to get a feel for the characters, especially, the actors and their idiosyncrasies and the characteristics. But we actually recorded all 6 episodes, partially because we wanted to add a bit of dynamism. Obviously, how we shoot films now is very, very different. How we edit them as well is very different to what they would have done in '67. But also, we were storyboarding with animation in mind. It's a very different medium, and how we animate things and like cutting things, like to make things easier, not showing legs running along the screen and things like that. And also, we did a lot more cuts, so they often did a locked off camera, showing everybody in the shot standing around talking. Whereas we tried to cut to close-ups to people and then back to mid-shots and then things like that, just to make it a bit more interesting visually.
I think one of the great...
AnneMarie, can you go slightly closer to the mic? So I'm trying to turn the apple.
One of the great strengths, I think, is some of the characterisation you capture, the original actors' mannerisms, which works perfectly well with the voice, the officiousness of the guy who played the commandant.
And that, he was my favourite character, actually.
He's really,
As
he's
well as
really a
Patrick.
great character, gets some humour out of it. Mark, how many sound sources were you coming from originally for this?
Well, this is all Graham Strong's off-air recording. So Graham again.
So you didn't use any of the surviving...
No, in fact, in order to make it all consistent, episodes 1 and 3 are from Graham Strong's off-air recording as well. And they are from Graham Strong's off-air recording on the film print as well, because they're actually better than one of those weird things where the off-air recording, which was 1 7/8, reel-to-reel recorder, connected to the telly, in 1966 sitting room while he was having his tea, and it's better than the Surviving Master, which is the 16mm film print. So yes, everything's taken there. I've replaced like the opening and closing titles; they come from the master, so you get a nice sort of crisp opening. But no, everything else is an off-air recording on this.
Did you add anything? I mean, obviously you bring some sort of sound, new sound to it.
My view on sound and animation has changed a bit over the years. When we first started out, the first one we did was 2005, 2006, which was The Invasion. And Dan Hall and I, who were preparing that for DVD release, felt that what the audience wanted was very much the original soundtrack, unadulterated, and then pictures which really followed the camera scripts as closely as possible to be a representation of the original. And that's what we did. I think my view has softened considerably. I think animation is such a different medium that you do need to compromise slightly. And we need to compromise on the sound. I mean, you'll see in episode 1, I missed a shot when they're all running away across the... I wish I'd added some footsteps to that. A lot of this film was shot mute on location, because there's very little dialogue on location. So there's just long shots, you wouldn't have recorded sound at all. And there's a fight sequence in episode 6, which is extremely funny. There's no sound on it at all. And on film, it would probably worked okay because you've got live actors moving and reacting, but animated characters don't react like that, so you really do need sound.
Sound absolutely carries it.
To sell the shot. But all the sound, if I have added sound, it has all come from the original show. I've not added any modern sound. It's all nicked from elsewhere in the show, so it's all very authentic.
How does your collaboration work? I mean, does the sound go hand in glove with the pictures, or do you deliver sound first?
Just phone calls and emails.
Often at 3 or 4 in the morning as well, tragic. So Mark very kindly provides us with the track before he remasters it and cleans it up, which he does an amazing job with, by the way. It's incredible comparing the two. And then we build the storyboards, animatics, we animate to that original soundtrack, and then Mark and I start our collaboration where he starts cleaning it up, so he gets the visuals from us and then he remasters, cleans up the sound and adds sound effects where they're needed and sort of pulls it all together audio-wise.
And did all the camera scripts survive for this
Yes.
venture?
So when people ask whether we're being authentic or copying it exactly, we're not trying to copy it frame by frame, hence re-storyboarding it, and part of that is for animation. But we do follow the original script, and that's what I take the inspiration from. We want to be true to that, but how we choose to interpret it visually, may be slightly different for many reasons. And we also have the technology and the ability and, as I say, a very different view of how we edit and make film now. So it's nice to bring that in as well.
Yeah, I think it's noticeable that these are looking more like their own beast now, rather than just an animated version of something.
We used to do shots in like on Power of the Daleks, when the Doctor's just looking around the set. Now, with Patrick Troughton, that would have looked absolutely fantastic with his way he moves, his facial expressions. You just can't do that in animation. So you're doing the animation a disservice, and indeed the original performance a disservice. Like you can try and religiously follow that. I really do.
Were there any contemporary animated shows that you watched that you found particularly inspirational? Someone I was talking to earlier saying that bits of it reminded them of Archer.
I was just going to say, stylistically, I mean, obviously I've watched lots and lots of animation and worked in very different styles. But stylistically, this is very much the comic book style, and Mark Ayres, who does the design, I think he does an amazing job. They're not the easiest characters to animate, because they're very geometric, very, very detailed. Martin's been brilliant and made it easier to animate in terms of getting rid of all these folds and creases and things in his jacket. When I started explaining, every time, if you've got 5 creases here, every time we move the arm, we have to redraw the 5 creases as they move and stretch. But because of that very graphic style, Archers is probably one of the closest things to it. But they have many, many millions more than we do and a lot more time. So.
And a lot more swearing.
Definitely a lot more swearing.
Well, thanks ever so much for coming out and talking to us. It's a long day, so we haven't got tremendous to come, but it's absolutely fascinating what you're doing. Thanks so much for returning the Faceless ones to us. AnneMarie and Mark Ayres.